the reality of my temporary life in which I'm in this body for a few passing moments and then I die. A flicker of one flickering moment in eternity. What is it for? So then, tad vijnanartham sagurum evavigache. This is the second half of the verse. When you're in that situation, nirveda, the word nirveda is very important. The word nirveda means the giving up of the loss of sense of meaning. That's nirveda. That this world is empty. There's nothing here for me. That there's really nothing in this world that attracts me. I've seen from the bottom to the top. Upariyata. I've seen everything from top to bottom, and now I've come to the point where I know that there is nothing here that is really worth it. That's a pretty high standard. For the Jnana Marg, that's the standard. Then you take sannyas. But it says before, but it doesn't hear this verse, it doesn't say you have to take sannyas. It just says, tad vijnanartham. In order to know the answers to these questions, you go Guru mevavigache. You go to the Guru. And Samitpani gives you a few instructions how you go to the Guru. The first one is Samitpani. Samitpani means that you're carrying wood in your hand. Samit actually means fuel. It really means the fuel for the sacrificial fire. So Samitpani, Srotriyam, so the Samitpani describes the disciple. The disciple is bringing wood. There's so many stories about just bringing wood. In the ancient system, in the ancient Vedic system, nowadays it's so very hard to get a feel for what life was in India even 50 years ago or 100 years ago. The urban India of today, this is something that has been imprinted now on the modern day, and India unfortunately is completely covered in concrete, or is headed that way. But so in the Vedic times, you can just think, here we see some remnant and we see forests. Actually, I think if you go onto the side of Rajaji Park and you go up the road that leads Lakshman Jula to Ram Jula, then as you get to the very top of the hill, there are some Vana Gurjars who live there. And Vana Gurjara, these are mostly, I think, Muslims, but they're they live in the forest, and they take care of cows and buffalo. So they have a big herd of buffalo. But when you come to the top of the hill, because Rajaji Park is protected and there's only forests there, and you come to the top, and then you see these what used to be straw huts surrounded by cows. And then you have the forest and the spring of water and so on. So this to me gave a perfect idea of what a Rishi's hermitage would have been like. So the Rishi's hermitage, the disciple, the Guru, would have his home there with his wife and his own family, and maybe 8 or 10 students who would come and live there. And then the students would be part of the household, and they would do some of the work, the necessary work around the house, cutting vegetables perhaps. So one of their jobs is to go and pick, to get wood from the forest, to go out and cut some, pick some wood off the ground that's fallen from the trees and come back. In the Bhagavatam, it tells the story that Krishna, this is the story of Sudama Vipra, a famous story. It's the under part of that story. That Krishna, he went and he was staying with his Guru. course, Krishna was a model student. He went through the 64 arts and sciences in 64 days. And then he went and he gave his guru Dakshina, which was to bring his guru's dead children back from the dead. So you can be a student like that. But when Krishna was, the story comes later, that Krishna was at the house of his guru, and he went out to gather wood for the sacrificial fire. And when he went out to gather wood, suddenly there was a storm, and there was lightning and thunder and crashing sounds, and everybody was afraid, and lashing rain, and everybody, of course, stayed in the hut. But Krishna and one of the other boys was out in the forest gathering wood. So when they were gathering wood, the rain had made it impossible for them to come back in the dark and everything to find their way. And so they just sat there in the rain and waited for the rain to finish under a tree. So then the whole night passed. And then in the morning, the guru, when they get up early in the morning to start the morning prayers, he looked out and Krishna and Sudama were not there. They still weren't there. And so immediately everybody was awakened, and they all went out to look for Krishna and Sudama in the forest. And finally, they found the two boys, completely soaking wet and shivering in the morning cold. And so they took the two boys, and the Guru right there, he said, "Your all knowledge, whatever knowledge I have, because of you, of the sacrifice that you made, because of the nishtha you showed in Guru Seva, in serving the Guru, I give you everything that I have. And it will always be available to you. There'll never be a moment when the necessity for some kind of knowledge will not be met." So this is, and there are words that, what is pleasing? Krishna says nothing is more pleasing. Not the duties of a household, not the duties of any of the varnashram dharmas, but Guru Shushrusha, service to the Guru, that is the highest dharma. So this is Samitpani. All that comes into Samitpani. The Samitpani that I saw, the Swami Rama made the Samitpani, the Guru is performing the sacrifice. And so the wood, that's necessary, the necessary ingredients for the sacrifice. But in the Gita also, there's in the 4th chapter, the Gita, 3rd to 4th chapter is all about sacrifice. And the Gita 3rd, 4th chapter, the 4th chapter, what the 4th happens in the 4th chapter is that Krishna explains that the system of sacrifice is the way that the entire world functions. That we're operating, that everybody gives as well as takes. If you think that you can take without giving, then you're mogameva sajivati. Mogameva sajivati. Your life is a wasted life. That the idea that we live in harmony with nature, that's the idea. You can't, everybody, of course in modern society we talk about it in a different kind of work ethic way, but the idea of living in harmony with nature is that you are meant to sacrifice. You're not here to be a taker, you're meant to be a giver. You give and then you get in return. So this is the principle of sacrifice. But the principle of sacrifice, that's on the most external level, it means your worldly duties. So you're engaged in karmas, you're engaged in worldly duties and performing your dharma. That's your base point for yajna, your base point for sacrifice. The varnashram system, the whole system of the Vedic society, was formed with brahmanas at the top. And the brahmanas, why were the brahmanas at the top? Because the brahmanas performed the sacrifice. So the whole of the society was seen as being created or having the function of the sacrifice. So the whole society would be formed around the sacrifice and the brahmins who are performing the sacrifice. This is something that we see that in other cultures also, in pre-modern cultures, where we say that you have this kind of relationship of the sacred at the center of human consciousness. That whatever is sacred for that particular culture, that is at the center of the individual and of the collective. So now in modern society it's very difficult to do that because we have pluralistic and now globalistic society, which is of a very different kind. And we have consumerism at the center, consumption is at the center, entertainment and consumption are the centers of the civilization. And that's the only thing that they can draw everyone together. But Krishna here is spelling out what is the way that even within our small group, and by small group I'm going right down to the very dual of two people, married couples, that you have to make the sacred the central point and not make sense gratification or make your own purpose, your own selfish purpose. If you put that at the center, then there'll be no harmonious functioning whatsoever. So the idea of sacrifice is there that you find your harmonious position in the society with the sacred at the center. And some people are closer to the sacred center than others. And that's a natural thing, because some people are more committed to the idea of the sacred. Some people are what you could call religious professional. Now I'm using the word professional not in the sense that because you do have religious professionals who see it as a money-making thing, but I don't mean professionalism as a money-making thing. Professionalism here means that they consecrate their life to the search for the truth. That's their lives are given to that. And they are following the way that it's described with detachment. What's very nice about books like Swami Rama's Living with the Himalayan Masters is that he tries to, or he doesn't try, he vividly depicts people who are living lives of absolute poverty. Of absolute poverty in spiritual life. They've literally given up all material pleasures. You couldn't conceive of a material pleasure they haven't given up. Sometimes they give up. I sometimes wonder if Swami Ram really met all these people, or if he just some of them he met and some of them he heard about. But anyway, we don't question Swami Ram's veracity. But this is the time you read these books, Paul Brunton's Light for the Search for Sacred India, and the Swami Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of the yogi. They kind of stimulate this vairagya, this sense of belief, faith, that there is some higher truth, that there's some higher reality, that this is not if people can live like this and be happy, then there must be something that is more satisfying than this. So now this is yajna, this is sacrifice, giving up. So in the Gita also, Krishna in the 4th chapter is talking about sacrifice, but he's refined the concept so that all kinds of sadhanas are yajnas. So he describes a number of sadhanas, and there's a very sutra form sadhanas in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he's talking about different kinds of yajna. And that's where that whole section starts with the verse that we say before meals. Brahmarpanam brahmahadir brahmarpanam brahmanam brahmaivatena gantavyam brahmakarma. The way that the entirety of a particular act culminates in knowledge, brahma jnana, in knowledge of, in other words, when we say knowledge, we mean sakshatkar, we mean aparoksha jnana, we mean direct experience. That the purpose of the ritual, the purpose of the yajna, the purpose of the sadhana, going from gross sadhanas to more subtle sadhanas, going from gross performances to more subtle performances, going from externals to more internal practices. So this is the process that's being described there. So now in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 2 places where Guru is being spoken. So this is the second place. The first place is where Arjuna is in the situation. Help! Comes to the Guru. Yatsreyasya pishchitam gruhitam me shishyaste ham shadhima mam prabandham. The most beautiful verse of the Bhagavad Gita. This Krishna Arjuna is, he's frustrated, he doesn't know what he's made all these speeches. Sometimes when we really don't know, that's when we talk the most. And we're really just trying to spin out something with our words to get the answer. And we just keep on talking until we realize that we're just making fools of ourselves. This is something I often find myself in this position. So then Arjuna says, Yatsreyasya nishchitam guruhitam me shishyaste shadhima mam. He says, I'm dharma samudhachena. I don't know what to do. My idea of dharma, my duty, I don't know what my duty is anymore. So I'm just throwing myself down at your feet and asking for it. So now in the 4th chapter, Krishna, you would say Arjuna has already done the job of falling down to a guru. Why does Krishna have to tell him again? Well, he's giving a whole teaching. Right? So in the 4th chapter, Krishna, he's just finished giving a very quick summary of a sutra form of all these different kinds of sacrifices, the inward breath into the outward breath, the outward breath into the inward breath, the senses into the sense objects, the sense objects into the senses. What do all these things mean? So, calling one the fire, the other one. So, at the end he says, of course, it's all to culminate in jnana. So he says. So then he tells the very end, he says, Tadvidhi pranipatena parikrishnena sevaya upadechanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Very easy verse in Sanskrit, very direct. Tadvidhi. So Tadvidhi means in order to know. So we have Tadvijnanartham in the first time around, and we're drawing the conclusion that when he says Samitpani, he means that he's coming to participate in the Guru's sacrifice. That the Guru, and that the sacrifice of knowledge is the sacrifice of knowledge that he's engaged in. He's bringing the wood there to participate in this sacrifice of knowledge that is his Gurukula life there. All the people who are the Guru. So that the Gurukula life that is participating in the sacrifice of the Guru. So here it says, Tadvidhi, in order to know the sacrifice now, what is the sacrifice? Tadvidhi pariprashnena. You go to the Guru, Tadvidhi pariprashnena. Pranipatena sevaya. Pranipata is first. Has to be first. Pranipata has to be first. So, Tadvidi Pranipatena. So Pranipata means you fall down at the feet. The first thing is that when you come to the Guru, so this is general approach to Gurus. Why should you be? But the problem with Gurus, I'll tell you one thing on the side. That you have different kinds of Gurus. You have Gurus who are dressed like Gurus and who are in the form of a Guru and recognizably a Guru. And there are other ones you don't recognize. So. And anyway, Pranipatena, the ones that you recognize, it's easy to go and touch the feet and bow down. But the ones you don't recognize, you miss them and you disrespect them, and in that way the flow of knowledge gets interrupted. So Tadvidi Pranipatena, that's Pranipata, first thing. Second thing, Pariprashnena. So when you come, what happens? If you come and you offer respect to somebody, you'll get a very different response than if you come challenging someone. Like a newspaper reporter will come to the Guru. So already your newspaper reporter is what? Your newspaper reporter is on the dual platform, and the platform of duality. Because he needs to have some conflict and story and so on like to sell. So naturally he comes to and he's going to be doubting. He wants to find some problem with the Guru. Because that if he goes and he says just nice things, what's the story? And he wants to get so this is but when you come with Pranipata, when you come respectfully, and you come with folded hands, or when you come with Samitpanini, when you come with some gift or some, you come to say, I'm coming to participate in the sacrifice. I would like to participate in the sacrifice of knowledge. And you present yourself in that way. Actually, sometimes it's said that the Guru and the disciple are like the two pieces of wood that you rub together in order to produce flame. So you have two pieces of wood and you rub them together and finally sparks come and you get the flame comes out. So the Guru is only sitting unmanifest, like the fire in the wood. The fire is present in the wood, but it's not there until it gets rubbed by another stick. So that other stick is in the yoga, the Aruni, and the name to each of the names of the pieces of wood have a particular name. Aruni. So, it's the disciple who comes, who ignites the flame in the Guru by asking questions. So Pariprashnena. Now Pariprashnena, we just saw that tape. Swamiji was giving the lecture about. This was just before the silence. I don't know if any of you saw, but he was saying about asking questions. He says, "Don't send me a 3-page question. I'm not here to do psychoanalysis. You think about your question. Think about trying to distill your question. You do mantana. You churn your problem until the curds come to the top, and then then you'll have discovered your question." And Swamiji quoted, Carl Jung was the one who said, I don't know if Carl Jung was the only, probably somebody else did before him, but that the greatest part of attaining knowledge is to just formulate the question properly. If you can formulate your question properly, then you make good progress towards the answer. So, Pariprashnena, the pari means around. You don't want to waste your Guru's time with dumb questions, right? You don't want to ask the Guru a question that you can find the answer to on Google. Some people, people send me letters and ask me questions like that. I say, Google is there. You're not asking me questions. Why are you wasting my time? That's what I wanted to ask. If it's a really got this. So what is the question that you ask the Guru that will please the Guru? So if you come to the Guru because you want something from the Guru. I used to tell Swamiji, I said, I stay here, the only reason I stay here, the only reason I hang around still, is because it's not 100 different things that I want from you, but I see some qualities in you that I really, really want to have. There are certain aspects of your personality and your character that come through your spiritual achievement that I admire greatly. And I would like to imbibe some of that from you. And so, this is why they always say, that you test a Guru. They don't think you're testing a Guru. It's not like, the matrimonials in the Indian newspapers. That you have to line up the Guru with certain qualities. I'm looking for a Guru, he's got to wear saffron. A white beard would be good. Not absolutely necessary. Fat, thin, I'm not sure. Now they mostly seem to be fat. But anyway, so you see the qualities that you want, and pariprashnena. So pariprashnena means that those questions are going to be focused, because ultimately, if you see, I'm going a bit off the topic of Shastra, but actually there are two extremely strong projections that manifest in an individual. One of those is the projection of sexual attraction, right? That you see, a man sees a woman sees a man, and that corresponds or doesn't correspond to a particular ideal, and sometimes, or quite often, explosions go off, fireworks go off, and that you forget exactly, you lose a bit your rationality. You lose your rationality. It's kind of that these unconscious forces well up from